Good morning and welcome to another What's Happening in George's Furniture. Today we're going to continue talking about rocking chairs and what parts to finish off is needed to finish off a rocking chair. So let's switch her around here. First of all, each of our pieces are made by one craftsman from start to finish, and they also will sign their work. So we're going to look at Jim. Here we're going to have him sign his name. See along there with the business signature, we have his name, and we'll also put a stain number on there and the date will be applied there. So, all right. Now, some unique things that can be done with our rocking chairs is this particular customer has asked if we would put some engraving on the rocking chair. So before it was put together, when the back was just made, we used the router and carved and routed this name on the rocking chair. This is two rocking chairs that have been put together. This will be similar to this rocking chair that we're doing currently. So we talked about the base, putting on the legs and the rocker last time. So this time we're actually going to be looking at how the back is put on. Here's some rocker parts. There's an actual rocker and some arms there. So we'll come over here to Jim. What he's doing now, he's putting glue into each of the holes. We use a Titebond wood glue and a little brush. We want to make sure everything is filled in with glue. So each of these rungs are actually made on a joiner to get the 8-sided rung. And then the taper is done on the lathe, kind of like a big pencil sharpener. And when we sand the rung, we sand it to not to a point, but to a taper, so that actually when that goes into the hole, the glue will actually be pushed into the pores of the wood. That gives a very strong joint. You can see down into the hole there. You're sanding it off to make sure there's no glue on the outside, because if there's any glue that's left on, that will prevent any stain or finish from adhering to the wood. Now these already would have been sanded to fit into the hole while the rung was being made. We don't want to make them too tight that they'll split the wood, and we also don't want to have them too small, because then it relies on the glue too much to keep that rung in there. Now these are the backs of the rungs, so these are really long. We have two different size backs. One is 3 inches taller for those who sit taller, have a longer torso. Now, you may not realize, but what Jim is doing here, he's making sure that the flat section of the rung is angled toward your back. So he's putting them in a particular angle with the flat section of the 8-sided rung angled toward your back. This way, when you're sitting on the rocking chair, your back will have a very strong support and not have that edge in your back. So that's the back finish. Now he's going to be working on putting the glue into the holes of the rocker seat, and he puts these blocks in there mainly so that it doesn't rock back and forth. That's the one challenge of a rocking chair while you're putting it together. Go over here and we'll look at a few different arm styles. Here we have this is the really large arm. That's actually our signature arm. It's the first one that we designed because it came from a rocking chair, a different one that George grew up with. But then if people didn't want the really big look or the big arm, then we made one that's a little bit smaller, similar style, but just not as big. And then for those who are needing for a very small, some of the smaller rocker chairs, a smaller arm works nice. So those are the three. This is number 1, number 2, and number 3. So before, these are another style of back. We call this our Gentle Country. So it's similar curve to the country rocker, but just not quite as pronounced. The bend in the wood is actually steam bent. We have someone else that does the bending for us because it actually changes the pores in the wood. So that's a very strong way to do it. All right, let's go back here to see what Jim's been up to. So he's put glue into all of the and now he's lining up. Let's see, we gotta... Well, this can be a little tricky, lining all those up. They use the rubber mallets to not make any marks on the top of the chair. I wonder what he's going to be doing now. Ah, Mr. Clamp. He's a helper. Never realized how much work goes into each one of these rocking chairs. Slowly putting a little bit of pressure on. That helps the other rungs not to pop out. You don't want to force it down too much because it's the same little by little, easing all the rungs in together. This is tricky because if you take the one side down too faster than the other side, they may come back, pop out, or twist, or... Measuring just to make sure it's the right height, but also so you probably can tell how far into the rocker seat it has gone. I believe this is also helping to get the correct angle of the back to the seat. And here are some back runs. We've got, these are walnut, and these are cherry. And I don't believe I see any oak at this point. We're looking at like we're making oak and or cherry and walnut rockers right now. I believe some of these are for orders and others are for stock. But it's really nice to be able to come and try out the rocking chair, pick your size, because we do have 7 different sizes. Some a little wider in the seat, some a little taller in the back. But people come in different sizes. Now, the rocking chairs are one thing that we may make a batch, more than one at a time. That way we can make all the rungs for a number of them and and assemble them. So here are 2 rocking chairs. This is what Jim has just finished the back. These are going to be waiting for arms to be put on. These look like they're both about the same size. The back is actually our country back. Here's where we make the taper of the rung. So there's a bit right here that's put onto the lathe and it acts like a big pencil sharpener. So that does the initial contour to the end of the rung, and then later on they are over on the sander. That's where they're sanded to, the flat sections are sanded, getting the machine burn, if there's any burn on from the table saw. That will be taken off in the sander. Jim, I believe, is setting up to put the arms on. Putting glue into the hole. He's pre-drilling. Actually, we have a screw that reinforces this rung because it can get a lot of pressure. It gives it strength. This is our large arm. He's measuring so he knows how deep to make the hole. Lining it up, checking the angle. So now he needs to do a little bit of adjustment. He's going to take it over to our sander. Alright, we need to do a little more adjustment, which is good. There's a lot of checking that comes. Here you can see a number of the patterns that are used. Those are back. This way it helps us to make sure we get all the angles drilled this properly, because each size the angles actually change. There's some different chair seats. And we We have some really big chair seats that are underneath our drill. There you can see there's got some pretty wide ones. All the angles change, the different arms sizes, the angles change as well. There are some other rocking chairs and some other craftsmen are working. Each craftsman has their own bench, small bench that they work from, and then they share the big machinery in the middle. So we decorate our wood shop with patterns. Some other patterns as well. He already measured the depth of how far he wanted the drill hole to go. So now we're over to the rocking chair. Again, putting the glue in the hole, making sure that all the surface is covered. Because when that goes on top of the rung is sanded to a taper to make sure that the glue will not come back out. But it'll actually go into the pores of the wood and make a tight bond, so that that joint will actually be stronger than the wood itself. He's doing a little bit of adjustment on the arm on a belt sander. He'll be back shortly. There's a lot of work that goes into these arms. Again, using the rubber mallet, making sure there's not any marks when he's hitting the wood. So using a regular steel hammer is fine if you're hitting the end of the rung, which that will then go into the seat and not be seen. But whenever you have a part that will be seen, we want to make sure we use the rubber mallet. The blocks are put underneath the rocking chair just so that it doesn't rock back and forth while he's working on it. Lining up the arm to the back of the rocking chair. Make sure everything is properly aligned. You can use that metal hammer when you have something else to hit against that will take the impact marks. The arms all have 2 reinforcement screws. By using a screw that allows the wood to expand and contract, natural solid wood with the moisture changes in the air is going to expand and contract. So wherever you have grain going one direction, coming to grain that's going in the opposite direction, then we want to make the ability for the wood to expand and contract. So he's pre-drilling the holes right now. That way it'll prevent any splitting or cracking. Pre-drilling this second hole. we need a little more power. That battery looks like it was not enough energy. So these will later receive a wooden plug that we put in there, and then it will get the second arm. And from there, I believe the rocking chair is ready to be either a stain or a clear finish. Oh, we got 3 screws. Oh, okay. This is the pre-drilling. So make sure that the screw does not split the wood. Drill a little bit smaller than the screw. That's the countersink. Give the space for the screw head. The screw. Looks like the rocking chair, after it gets this other arm on, then it'll be ready to go back to the staining area. Thanks a lot, Jim. We'll check in with everybody the next time we find what's happening in George's furniture or George's wood shop. Have a good day.